Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I wish I could say I've done something dignified like do hard drugs or piss in an alley somewhere. But I must be honest and say I saw the recent Star Wars movie. And while seeing it, I had a little note card with me that I tallied up all the stupid scenes and lines from the movie in the most conservative fashion that I can come up with. So it's like, there wasn't a particularly stupid scene that got 5 tallies because it was so dumb. Everything gets 1 tally per egregion, if that's even a word. The movie is approximately 146 minutes long. And I have tallied up 183 stupid lines and scenes. And I might have missed some. I don't claim to be the best at this. In fact, this is the first time I've specifically tallied up the stupidity of a movie. But still, that's like at least 1 tally per minute. Now granted, some minutes or some stupidity was clumped together, while others were spaced out pretty far or fairly evenly. But it's still a very poor look as far as I'm concerned. And I figure I might as well tell you guys about it, because I have nothing better to do other than, play video games and not be able to find this goddamn shpee. Now if I pause a little bit, it's probably because I'm looking at Wikipedia, fuck you shpee, in order to get a better idea of what I watched, because some scenes I might just slip my mind or whatever. So let's begin. The opening crawl. We haven't even gotten into the movie proper. The opening crawl contained some stupidity, which was Dead Speaks, which, good grief, sounds like something an edgy 13-year-old would say in his diary or, poem or whatever. And the dumb thing about the opening, and mentions that Palpatine... How's that spy going so fast? Mentioned that Palpatine sent out a message, and you're probably curious where you could find it. It wasn't in the movie, it wasn't in any comic, it wasn't in any tie-in novel. You could find it in Fortnite. That's where it was, in Fortnite. We're off to a great start. You have to buy a completely well, not buy, it's free, but you have to get a completely third-party game in order to hear whatever the hell Palpatine said that literally ignited the events of the movie. I probably shouldn't have done that, but alright. Oh, he beat me at my own game. So Kylo Ren hears his message, how, where, when, doesn't mention. And he travels to Mustafar in order to find one of the movie's big MacGuffins, which is this item called the Wayfinder, because it helps you find the way to Palpatine. Specifically Exegol, which is a Sith home planet. And so he's on Mustafar and he's slaughtering the natives of it, who are guarding this sort of concrete structure containing the Wayfinder within it. And there's a bunch of forests on it, which is odd because Mustafar is supposed to be this lava planet. So I guess this might be like the first multi-biome planet in Star Wars. So, good on them. And so he finds it. That sucked. So he finds it, and then he heads over to Exegol, and while heading over, you have to take this very specific path through this red nebula, because all the other possible paths are blocked by like solar flare, or deadly ionizing wind, or something or another, to explain why they have to go through this specific path. And even with all that, space is a 3D environment, and wouldn't they have figured out like some technology to counter that, some way to protect ships from these celestial issues? I guess not, apparently. So he lands on the planet and heads into a Sith temple, and he descends on this sort of floating elevator thing. And Palpatine speaks to him, saying he was every voice in his head, and demonstrates this by mimicking an assortment of different voices, including Darth Vader's. And Kylo Ren's like, but I killed Snoke, and I can kill you. And then Palpatine's like, well, I made Snoke. And sure enough, there's a bunch of these vats with these pickled Snokes in them. He's like growing them as clones, which begs the question, why would he even bother having an apprentice like Kylo Ren when he could just have an army of Snokes? Just have a few hundred of these very powerful Force users that he puppets and rule the galaxy like that. Was he planning for Kylo Ren to succeed him? No, because he wants Rey to succeed him. At least that's what his plan seems to be, based on his whole, 4D chess of having Kylo Ren kill her so she eventually finds her way to him, and then he can prompt her to kill him. And another question is, like, if they could make these clones, then why couldn't he just clone himself a new body? Why does he need to have his soul inhabit specifically someone else that isn't Emperor Palpatine himself? The movie then cuts to Rey training. Well, actually, it doesn't. Hold on, let me check this. Alright, doesn't cut to Rey training yet. It cuts to Poe and a few others are in the Millennium Falcon, and they've received a message from a spy within the First Order. Now, the First Order were being lazy, apparently, and didn't bother spy checking. What you need to do is shoot at your teammates enough that if they die, they're spy, but if they live, they're your friends. Setting them on fire is an especially quick method of checking. So he gets this message, and he hooks up a cord into R2-D2 that's supposed to transmit it. And then the First Order comes along, and they're like, alright, we need to skedaddle fast. So they do, and there's some pretty alright scenes between, I think it was Finn and Poe in the Millennium Falcon, and Chewbacca was there as well. And we get to see Poe demonstrate his piloting skills. He does a bunch of what's called hyperspace leaps, where, in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where they did that. That's why they did it here, because it was cool to see in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and Disney really wants Star Wars to be their next Marvel or a Marvel. So let's just do what Marvel did, and oh boy, is this not the first thing? Is this not the last thing in this movie? I guess it's not the first. He had like a tie-in Fortnite event with Thanos, but is this not the last thing they do that's trying to ape off of Marvel? So they do these hyperspace jumps and manage to evade the First Order, and then the film cuts to Rey training under the watchful eye of General Leia. I'm always tempted to call her Princess Leia. Yeah, fuck it, I'll call her Princess Leia. And already that seems so weird because every other movie she's in, she was ridiculously powerful, you know. There's a reason the term Mary Sue is thrown around so liberally when talking about Rey. It's not unwarranted. And her training is well, first her training is she's floating in the air and effortlessly having dozens of rocks orbiting around her. Because, you know, she's Rey. And the point, stupid. Lost your chance. You know, she's Rey, and she's trying to hear the voices of the other Jedi, and she's having a hard time doing it. You know, surprise, surprise, there's something Rey can't do immediately. And so she kind of gives up, and Leia tries to console her, like, you know, it's alright, Rey, it happens to everyone at some point. Just need to grind for more XP. And then Rey decides, alright, I'll just do the running obstacle course, which is where she runs around with a lightsaber, deflecting laser blasts from that floating ball, remember from A New Hope, where Obi-Wan first trained Luke using it. Well, now Rey's training with it, and she's doing really well, you know, nothing's ever gonna keep her down. Until Kylo Ren decides to touch Darth Vader's smoldering, mushed-up mask and try to initiate a Force Skype call with Rey. And this causes Rey to remember stuff from The Force Awakens because JJ's incredibly salty about what Rian Johnson did and refuses to include anything from The Last Jedi in her Force vision. Which, you know, fair's fair, that movie sucked ass, but it's not like you were, you know, making anything special either, Abrams. And this causes her to sort of freak out and get angry, and she slashes wildly at trees, and she stabs a floating ball with her staff that she still insists on keeping for some dumb reason. You have a lightsaber, Rey, just use that. Just abandon it, mate. And during that, she ends up injuring the soccer ball droid, things like B-88 or something. Or BB-88. It's BB-8 apparently. We don't actually see her do it. We see her slash the trees, then it's the Force vision, and then she wakes up and B-88 is underneath a tree. The very, you know, just seeing her do something bad, like seeing her do it, and then what happens and the consequence of it we can't have. It has to cut away. It's just kind of dumb, you know? And so, B-88's a little injured, she has a big SAD, and she decides, alright, I'm done training for today. I'm gonna go do something else. So she returns to Leia, and that's about when the Millennium Falcon comes in. And it's on fire, probably from all the hyperspace jumps and getting shot at, which pisses off Rey, who's like, you know, what do you do? And Poe's like, well, we had to do some hyperspace jumps, and Rey's like, what? that's dangerous or some shit. Like, she was exasperated about the fact that Poe was doing this risky maneuver. You know, the best pilot in the Resistance, but not as good as Rey. You know, Rey could totally do those hyperspace jumps and not worry because, you know, she's Rey. Meanwhile, Poe sees BB-8, I keep calling him B-88, and sees he's injured and is like, what the hell's with this, huh? You're giving me crap about this, look what you did to my droid. And they sort of argue a bit, and then they get the message, which turns out to be that the First Order, or Palpatine or whatever, has amassed this new fleet that's super dangerous, and in 16 hours they're gonna go out and terrorize the galaxy. So they have a time limit on hand, and they need to figure out how to solve this problem fast. The message also mentions Exegol, which isn't on any of the star charts, and that always struck me as very odd, because Star Wars takes place in a technologically advanced civilization where faster than light travel has been mastered to the point where it's routine. There's nothing special about moving faster than the pitiful speed of light. I'll just take the loss here to mute them. And yet evidently this Sith planet, this one planet in the whole galaxy, hasn't been mapped out except for, well, the Wayfinders. I even found it a bit funny in Attack of the Clones, where that planet Obi-Wan Kenobi was looking for was missing from the charts. Like, just find a different star chart and cross-compare it. There isn't just going to be that one. There's not like a single map of the world that everyone uses, and if it was ever altered, we'd be fucked. So Rey, so I think it's like C-3PO or something who mentions that they need to find the Wayfinder, and Rey mentions, oh, I remember hearing about that MacGuffin or reading about it in Luke's book. He was trying to find it but couldn't, so I should go to where he last looked for it and try to find it there. And so Rey decides, alright, I'm gonna go out and find the MacGuffin, and Leia's a bit hesitant, but Rey says, you know, I'm still gonna find the MacGuffin, Leia. I know you would in my position.
The final control point is being contested.
Wow. Just amazing. I'm sorry, that's... sometimes just ridiculous stuff happens in a video game, you know? That's... video games. So you need to go to this desert planet, and she takes C-3PO. Finn and Poe insist on coming along, and Rey's like, no, you shouldn't go with me. I need to do this alone. But they're like, no, we're a team. Although they probably should have just waited, because Rey would probably be able to just do it herself, realistically speaking. Because, you know, she's Rey. No one's gonna defend the point? Alright. You don't feel like it. And they leave behind R2-D2, which one of my biggest questions about this whole trilogy is, why is R2-D2 left out so much? In The Force Awakens, he was literally deactivated the entire movie except for the very end. In The Last Jedi, he had probably the one of the few only good scenes in the entire movie with Luke, and then didn't matter at all. Like, I know Disney absolutely abhors the original trilogy characters, especially all those straight white males. But R2-D2's a fucking robot. What'd he do? You know, what social demographic does he fit into that's so abhorrent? Oh, he's my favorite Star Wars character. It's disappointing that he's not in these movies more, though they'd probably find a way to ruin his character, to be honest. Rose Tico's on the Resistance planet. She wants to, well, they ask her to come along, but she's like, no, I have to study. So the Asian kid, you know, sits back to study while all the other kids get to go on a fun adventure. Such is life, you know. I'll do a cheeky air blast, but I guess not. Now, on the First Order side, Kylo Ren mentions that there's a traitor. You know, somebody's been leaking First Order secrets to all the other people. And the movie doesn't reveal who it is by that point, but they introduce this new evil Sith guy who's actually menacing, as opposed to Hux, who was made into a joke in The Last Jedi. What I'm saying is there aren't exactly a lot of different choices for who the spy could be. It can't be a completely new character because that'll just feel really out of the blue and not set up properly. And it certainly isn't Kylo Ren because he's committed to stomping out the Resistance. So that just leaves General Hux as one First Order character with a name. Well, I guess it could be Phasma somehow returning again, but, you know, whatever. So I go to this planet called Pisana, and there's this festival going on by these aliens called the Aki-Aki, which are all these sort of squid people. So it's kind of nice to see some strange alien in Star Wars. A lot of the alien designs have been kind of crappy, to be honest, in these new movies. And they try to blend into the festival, which doesn't work very well because they're not squid aliens. And during that time, some kid alien approaches Rey and gives her the, you know, little ceremonial beads or whatever, puts it around her neck, and says he's like from this family, and then asks Rey what family she's from, and Rey mentions, oh, I don't have a family, I'm just Rey. And that's sort of the setup for her conflict in the movie. It was partially set up in The Force Awakens and kind of driven a lot of The Last Jedi, I guess, as far as what you can consider character progression. But it would have been nice to have, like, you know, that impact her more, because a lot of these movies, it just seems like she's bumbling around wherever the plot wants her to go, and not where one would expect her to go with this mission in mind. So the kid gives her some beads, and that's around when Kylo decides to force Skype call her. And the nature of these Skype calls is never really elaborated on. Like, can't you just refuse a call? Are you always going to have to answer it? And during the call, Kylo Ren manages to grab the beads off of her neck from in whatever part of the galaxy his ship is in. And that's how he figures out that Rey is on this particular planet, because they analyze the beads and figure out, oh, it's from this planet. And this whole idea of being able to physically teleport objects with a force seems like something that needs a whole lot of explanation for. Because that seems like an ability that would have been useful in, well, any of the other movies. What about all the Jedi who were going around during the prequel trilogy? Could none of them teleport objects with the Force? Is it because Rey and Kylo are Force dyads or whatever it's called? It just seems kind of overpowered. It kind of seems like something that would be interesting in a movie that takes place hundreds, if not thousands of years after the events of the original trilogy, where the Force is far more understood to the point where it can be applied to technology. So like, limited teleportation technology exists. Yeah, that seems like an interesting piece of world building that's obviously not going to come to pass because, well, Disney, or at least Lucasfilm under Disney, and world building go together like oil and water. So when Kylo Ren steals the beads, Rey realizes, oh, the First Order will be here soon, we have to hurry up. And so they find a guy who leads them into this sort of bulky, tread-based moving ship. And inside, the guy reveals himself to be Lando. Out of all the original trilogy characters, or at least the humans, I think Lando was handled the best. He's old and decrepit like the others, but I think it's implied that he's still trying to complete his mission. And turns out that he was looking for the thing as well, the Wayfinder, the MacGuffin, with Luke, before Luke got big sad and decided to isolate himself like an asshole. And so he gives the team a general idea of where they were last looking, or where the ship that should have it might be. And so they start to head over there, and that's when the First Order arrive. So Poe hotwires these hovering speeder bikes, and Finn's asking, hey, when were you able to do that? Implying that Poe has some sort of seedy underbelly history. So they get on the bikes, the First Order chases them, and the First Order was, smart enough to bring along these quick tread-based land vehicles. Guess they just had them in stock at the moment and decided to use them. And that's where the stupid lines of, will they fly now? Comes from. And so they duke it out, they battle. The stormtroopers die, but along the way, the heroes' vehicles are injured, and they land conveniently in these patches of black gravel that's basically turbo quicksand, where they start sinking into the ground below. Rey seems to know about it and understands the danger of it, which is fair because she did grow up on a desert planet. And when they sink down, they end up in these underground caves. So you have this like gravel pardon me, over what's essentially empty space, a hollowed out space in the ground, and you're able to sink through it. What's keeping the gravel from just collapsing into that empty space entirely is unknown, but they end up down there and they find this assassin that's a Sith assassin, or at least a skeleton of it, and they also find this dagger. It's very ornate. Well, not real ornate, but it does look kind of fancy-ish. Kind of looks like what an edgy teenager would come up with when designing a dagger. If you just remove any skulls he might apply to it. And C-3PO points out, oh, there's Sith rating on it, pointing to where the Wayfinder is. Well, that's really convenient. They managed to fall into that hole in the middle of the desert nearby this ship they're heading to that just so happens to contain a dagger with inscriptions to find a Wayfinder. And C-3PO says, yep, I totally know where it is based on reading it. And then they're like, alright, where is it? And then C-3PO says, oh, I can't tell you because my programming says I'm not allowed to tell you what Sith language reads. But he already kind of did tell them. He mentioned, oh, it tells you where the Wayfinder is. That's a synopsis based off of reading Sith language. So why not come up with a different synopsis? Why not ask him maybe true or false questions, or try to find some way to get this information out of him? But instead it's like, no, he just out of luck. And then this sandworm appears. Now, when George Lucas first made Star Wars, Frank Herbert actually considered legal action because of how similar a lot of elements are to Dune, or not Doom, Dune, which obviously didn't pan out. So it's kind of funny that Disney is now taking the most iconic part of Dune, which is the sandworms, and this isn't the end of similarities to Dune. And immediately, like no hesitation, literally seconds after seeing this sandworm, Rey realizes, oh, it's injured, and is able to calmly go to it and use the force healing ability to repair its wound. She just instantly knows how to use that ability. When, where, how, why? Well, you know, because she's Rey. So she heals the sandworm, and then it's like, alright, peace bro, and leaves. And that allows the team to escape. In fact, it even knocks open the walls of the cave to show them where the outside is. Like, have you ever completed a puzzle or challenge in a video game, and that leads to some in-game cutscene that reveals where you're supposed to go to next? Like in that Succubus demo that I uploaded a few days ago, there's one arena where you fight a bunch of people, and when you kill them, this flying thing comes down and knocks over a piece of the environment that lets you progress to, well, the next part of the demo. It's like that. It was so video gamey. You almost wonder if you forgot your controller at home. Maybe you'd be able to, you know, make it a better movie if you had one. And so they get out and explore this ship that Rey starts to recognize as the one that left her on Jakku when she was a little girl, so it was presumably like owned by her parents. And because the Millennium Falcon would be spotted instantly by the First Order, they decide to take the ship instead of going back to the Falcon, which, you know, it's fairly smart. Now, while in the ship, Chewbacca pockets a dagger, and Rey decides to go outside because she senses something or hears something from a trillion miles away. And she's walking outside, and turns out Kylo Ren is out there in his TIE fighter. Chewbacca follows her and is captured by the First Order. You know, it's kind of unlucky that he was the one who pocketed the dagger, right? But Kylo Ren is there, and Finn is like shouting, "Rey, Rey," because you know that's basically the total sum of his character at this point. And I mean this point as in like at this fucking start of The Force Awakens, as soon as he saw her, he followed her around like a scared puppy. And so Kylo Ren, you know, goes close to the ground and is speeding, you know, way close to the ground, trying to get the splatter achievement on Rey, where he, you know, runs into her. But Rey does that, like, backwards jump and slashes through one of his wings like it was nothing. And then Kylo Ren crashes, his TIE fighter explodes, but don't worry, that doesn't stop him. Now, the First Order is putting Chewbacca in this transporter, his transport ship, that I guess they brought along with them for reasons. And it starts to take off. And Rey's like, "No, Chewbacca!" So she like holds out her hand and is able to use the Force to physically stop the ship from leaving the planet. Like she's holding it back, and it's actually starting to drift back down to the ground. So she's that strong. But then Kylo Ren uses the Force to try to move the ship away from her, and she's still holding on. So not only is she able to overpower a spaceship trying to take off, but she can also overpower another person trying to push that spaceship away. Yeah, try again, dude. Worked brilliantly the last few times. Well, I guess it worked there. Good job. And during this little tug-of-war moment, Rey gets the big mad. And suddenly she unlocks, you know, after grinding Force EXP with the tug-of-war game, she unlocks the Sith Lightning ability and accidentally destroys the transport ship, thinking she killed Chewbacca. Well, that could have gone better. And she screams like, "Chewbacca, no!" And then all the heroes are like, "Oh, that's terrible," and they have to take off. And yeah. Now, you're probably thinking it's pretty bold that they killed Chewbacca, right? Like, you know, he's one of the original trilogy characters. It's a beloved part of the Star Wars movies, and you're just gonna kill him off? And it's Rey, no less. Like, she fucked up big time. Holy shit, she killed Chewbacca? Wow, that's probably gonna have some major implications on her character, and she can no longer be considered perfect or innately good or anything. But don't worry, because this is J.J. Abrams' Star Wars, and there are no consequences in J.J. Abrams' Star Wars. As it turns out, there was another transport ship that they somehow missed that Chewbacca was actually put on. And he's alive, you know, don't worry, we don't have to imply that Rey did a no-no. Chewbacca's alive. It's just that every single person on the Resistance is blind and didn't see this other ship take off and leave the atmosphere. Alright, hold on. Oh, I was going to get that sniper, but just ruined their day there. That's such an ass pull, it's amazing. Yeah. Alright, so after all of that, they're still trying to figure out, well, how do we get this information out of C-3PO, because he wants to be an asshole and not tell us what the Sith dagger says. Like, he can tell us generally what it says, but don't expect a specific translation. Alright, that was so fucking goofy, I love it. But he won't give us a specific translation, and Poe suggests they go to Kijimi because C-3PO mentions, oh, you can, like, dig into my memories by doing some, mechanical work on my head. And Poe's like, oh, I know a guy on this planet called Kijimi. And Finn's like, well, how do you know about this? And Poe again avoids it, avoids the question. It's a fair question as far as I'm concerned. Whatever. And so they head to Kijimi, and while there, the First Order is patrolling around, knocking on doors, basically being a bunch of Nazis. And while sneaking around, Poe is held at gunpoint by this new character called Zori Bliss. And I'll say this character has probably the most interesting outfit design we've seen in these movies so far, which has been very bland, forgettable, felt very uninspired. I'm just gonna go sniper, fuck it. Very uninspired. Zori Bliss at least has some interesting look. Kinda looks like she's wearing this Rocketeer helmet. And so she holds Poe at gunpoint, and she's mad at him. She has a big mad at Poe because Poe left her behind. And Poe basically says, hey, can we go to this, we need the use of this guy to get information out of a droid because we need him to read Sith language. And she's like, what do you need like Sith language for? And she tries to attack them, but then Rey, beats her and her squad up. And she's like, alright Rey, you've defeated me, so you're cool. I like you, so I will help you. Even though I should still be the big mad, not just at Poe now, but at you for injuring me, for what's essentially getting in the way of a personal beef. But no, because, she's Rey. Oh. Just toss some piss on the roof there. So she takes them down to their lair, and there's this little merchandise alien who speaks in an alien tongue, so he's especially merchandisable. Oh, not a spire, it's a pyro. Very easy to confuse. Surprised that didn't kill him. And he's the one who's able to get the information out of C-3PO. And C-3PO needs to get his memory wiped. And that's where the scene where he says, I'm taking one last look at my friends comes from. The Rise of Skywalker was literally the most we've seen C-3PO interact with these characters. He had the most screen time with them, and in fact, it's where they had the most screen time together, because yeah, finish him off, soldier. Because, again, most of the time these people are just isolated from each other. But I guess they needed that, really manipulative line there to kind of imply, oh, C-3PO really gives a shit about these people, so you should too, audience member. Consume the product and be excited for the next product for C-3PO. And then he's basically shut down. Now outside, Poe and Zori Bliss are talking about the past, and Zori Bliss holds up this First Order Captain Medallion, which is a basically free ride out of the planet because whatever ship has it is given free reign to leave. You know, there's not going to be any checks. Nobody will care if there's even a giant. They don't even care if it's a fucking Millennium Falcon, she acts like. It'll just get you off the planet, and she's been grinding for years to get it. She's trying her best to leave that shithole. Get out of here, soldier. Couldn't even do a little bit of damage to her. Come on. However, she decides to give it to Poe because reasons. It was never really implied that Poe and his gang would have any trouble getting off the planet. It's just, alright, you know, here you go, here's that thing I've been trying to get for so long. I'll give it to you, even though literal minutes ago I wanted to kill you. Gives it to Poe. Now, eventually the merchandise alien gets some memories out of C-3PO, and it causes his eyes to turn red. He speaks in a different voice, a threatening sounding one, because, you know, it has to be scary and edgy. And then he shuts down and reboots completely without any memories. And the First Order attacks, so they have to leave. This is very difficult to hear what the hell the sniper's domination lines are. I'm gonna be completely honest. Oh, poor guy. That's quite brutal. Well, that's only fair, I guess. So they take the ship, and along the way, Rey starts to feel Chewbacca's presence in the First Order ship. There's like a giant Star Destroyer hovering over the city they're on. So why wasn't she able to feel this earlier? Why was she so convinced that Chewbacca was dead and is only now able to feel his presence? Oh, wrong way. Let's, not be here. Ah, darn. Oh well. But yeah, you know, she was so sure that Chewbacca was killed, and now she's aware that he's alive by just noticing where he is. And so she and everyone else go on the First Order ship, and Kylo goes down to the planet. And somehow Kylo doesn't know that she's on the First Order ship when he's looking for her. Like, his Force connection finder isn't as attuned as Rey's because, you know, she's Rey. Well, I got a lot of points there. And Rey and her group are on the First Order ship. They're mowing down stormtroopers. There's one scene where a couple of them find her and she immediately does a Jedi mind trick. So now not only is she able to do it without prior training, but it can also be done on immediately hostile enemies. Because you remember in A New Hope, the stormtroopers were just sort of like security guards doing a routine checkpoint business. They weren't actively trying to harm Obi-Wan, Luke, and the droids. But now even if they have their guns pointed to you, you can just, you know, mind wipe them and make them forget you were even there. And Poe and Finn split up and find Chewbacca. They rescue him, and Rey goes to Kylo Ren's bedroom to find the dagger. And while there, Kylo Ren initiates another Force Skype call, and they have a lightsaber battle over the Force Skype call. Kylo Ren's on the planet, she's in the ship hovering above the planet, but they're able to have this extended lightsaber battle that results in them accidentally destroying the Darth Vader mask. I remember when the trailer came out, a lot of people were speculating, oh, maybe Rey and Kylo Ren finally teamed up, and this destroying of the mask is like a symbolic gesture to show their... Try and find a good Class War server. Is a symbolic gesture to show that they're destroying the dark side together, but no, it was an accident. They just had an oopsie, you know? They just... Oops, we accidentally destroyed this relic. Well, they destroyed a stand it was on. The Vader mask fell on the planet, and there's no indication that Kylo picked it up or anything.
Medic is calling. This one might get messy.
Where are we fighting? And Kylo Ren realizes, oh, she's on my ship, damn it. If only I looked up when trying to force search for her. And so he goes up, the heroes get in the Millennium Falcon because it was captured in the ship and held in the hangar. And they manage to fly off, and Rey is still on the ship when Kylo Ren gets there. And he tries to convince Rey to join him, but Rey's like, no, I don't want to join you. And so the Millennium Falcon is firing its thrusters or equivalent at Rey in the First Order, which just pushes them back. Now, I have no idea what these ships are propelled by, but I would expect that to be really fucking hot. You know, beyond just pushing them back, but actively incinerating them. But who knows, maybe it doesn't have any heat at all. So Rey does a jump into the Millennium Falcon, and Kylo Ren is disappointed. And they decide to leave. Oh, and this is a part where Kylo Ren tells Rey that she's descended from Palpatine. Now they get in the Millennium Falcon, and thanks to what C-3PO told them, they need to go to this place called Kef Bir, or Byre, whatever. And they arrive, but they crash land because the Millennium Falcon's landing gear doesn't work. Even though the Millennium Falcon can take up fairly horizontally, it can just fly straight into the air. So why not just slow the ship down and try to calmly lower it onto the ground? They instead just straight up crash into the ground, looking like something you'd see from like a depiction of the Roswell crash. And so they need to repair that, but before they do that, they go to this cliff edge where they see a giant honking piece of the second Death Star. First of all, the Death Star, be it the first or second, but I think it's the second one they see, was completely obliterated. If a piece that large survived, we would have seen it in the movie it blew up in. And second of all, the planet they were on has an atmosphere, it has water, it has plant life, people can live on it. If a piece of something that large crashes into a planet, you're not going to have a planet. Something that large is straight up an extinction event. And yet everything is just hunky-dory 30 years after it crashed. And while they're there, Rey like pulls out the dagger and there's this little ruler thing that comes out of it. And she holds it up to one of the pieces that just so happens, just lucky, so happens to look like have the silhouette or outline of the crashed piece, so they know, oh, we need to go to that one specifically. Now that piece would still be like the size of a city, but they know they need to go to it specifically. And this means that either the piece is straight up fucking lucky, trillion to one that looks like that, or the dagger was made after the Death Star piece crashed, which begs the question, who made it? Was it Palpatine, who decided to visit the planet it crashed on and use his artistic side to mold the dagger in a way that resembles that piece? Was it Rey's parents? Was it Ochi, the Sith assassin, going after Rey's parents, who decided to have this additional thing to get the Wayfinder from? Or help find a Wayfinder for whatever reason? Who knows? But the problem is, the Death Star piece is surrounded by tumultuous waves, and some person who is living on the planet riding on horseback, some black lady arrives and tells them, oh, I can help you out, but we'll have to wait until tomorrow in order to use our boats to get to it. The question is, again, if they just landed the Falcon calmly, as they no doubt could have done, they could have also raised it calmly and flown over to the Death Star piece without the hassle. But no, it's crashed and they have to repair it, so everyone goes back to the Falcon to do the repairs. And it's there that the Black Lady and Finn are talking, and she mentions that she and her entire unit were ordered to fire on civilians, but they decided, no, we're not going to do that, that's bad. And so they rebelled. And the First Order didn't just send over 20 TIE fighters to blow them to pieces. They rebelled and were evidently allowed to live their lives normally, or as normally as they can, being fugitives on this planet here. Now, when Finn, broke his programming, a lot of people assumed that was something special. Like, oh, for the first time, here we see a stormtrooper with a conscience that isn't just a blind follower to the dark side, the Sith, the First Order, whatever. And a lot of people wanted that to be expanded on, like Finn trying to find a new faction to believe in, or leading a stormtrooper uprising, motivating others to break their conditioning. But no, it's apparently just something that happens in general, especially if you're black. That tends to help you break the conditioning, I've noticed. And so they kind of bond over this, which is nice. It's nice to see Finn have something other than Rey to motivate him. And it's at that point that they notice, oh shit, Rey isn't here. Where is she? Now, Rey grew up on a desert planet, right? So you would expect her to not be very good at anything involving water. She shouldn't even know how to swim. That's quite fun. She shouldn't even know how to swim, and yet they see her piloting this rinky-dink boat thing. I think it's called like a skipper, on these waves that would make a seasoned naval captain sweat. Pretty much effortlessly, she gets to the Death Star piece without a hitch. Might be nice for her to crash and require her friends to save her, you know, show that they're useful beyond just shouting her name. But no, she gets to the Death Star piece, and she, you know, navigates her way through it, and she arrives at the Emperor's throne room, which is, you know, fairly intact given everything that happened. Can probably buff out the damage on the chair and have it look good as new, to be honest. And this secret door next to it opens up that she goes into, and she finds a Wayfinder, the MacGuffin, which only 2 were made. And Kylo Ren has one, and now she has the other. Why were only 2 made? Why not 3 or 5 or 7 or, I don't know, 100? Why was one on Mustafar and the other on the second Death Star? I don't know why I'm asking this. I mean, you don't know, I don't know. It's probably in some supplementary material. If you want to know the answers to your questions about the movie, you have to buy the DLC in forms of comic books and tie-in novels and all this and that. Are you proud of yourself, Medic? You feel big? Anyways, and then the door behind her closes, and she sees this dark version of herself. You know, the one that was shown in the D23 trailer, where desperately trying to make people think, oh, Rey might be evil! Rey might turn evil, guys! She might become a bad person! And literally nobody fucking believed that, except for morons. You remember that? Good times, good times. And so she has like a very brief fight with this dark version of herself, and then somehow Kylo Ren gets there. He has a new TIE fighter, or probably asked them to pick him up. No way, I'm getting my, you know, chronology confused here. But Kylo Ren's there, he managed to get to the Death Star. And he, you know, again tells Rey that she's a Palpatine and that's her destiny to be on the dark side and that she should join him. And Rey's like, no, I don't want. Kylo's like, yeah, you should, because you're nobody and I'm the only one who doesn't think you're nobody. And this is very romantic according to the Reylos. You know, this is peak romance. They watched this and got upset at the movie later on that I'll get into later on. So she and Kylo Ren fight, and you remember the fight in Episode 3 between Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar, where it showed you how they got from one place to another? It's not like that on this fight. Instead, it's like there's Kylo and Rey fighting, and then cuts back to a Resistance planet, and Leia decides to get up and wants to initiate a Force Skype call. Now of all times, you know, why not a few decades earlier? Who knows? Who even cares at this point? And then cuts back to Kylo and Rey fighting. And they're in a completely different place. They're outside of the throne room now, on that segment of Death Star that's seen in the movie's official poster. Just a completely jarring transition. What fun. But I cannot kill these ones. Although we did get to see some Archimedes. Now, during this fight, Kylo Ren is
Sniper is calling.
actually winning.
Something for me?
It's surprising, but he's actually sort of overpowering Rey. But that's when Leia decides to contact him. She says Ben. And similar to Luke, this long-distance Force Skype call... Well, not really a Skype call, it's just a regular phone call. Exhausts her so much that she just dies. And that's the end of Leia. She dies being tired because she used the Force too hard. And this distracts Kylo Ren enough for Rey to stab him in the abdomen. And now it is another victory for Rey. I don't think Kylo Ren has ever explicitly won. But this causes Rey to get the big sad. And she decides to isolate herself on the planet Luke was on. Although I forgot to mention that Finn managed to get on the Death Star wreckage himself and shouts Rey, tries to intervene in the fight to help her, but Rey just force pushes her back. So yeah, it's another golden Finn moment, you know. So Rey goes to she steals Kylo Ren's TIE fighter and heads over to a planet Luke's on and decides to burn it. And she's like chucking a bunch of wood on it, even though it was already on fire. She just wanted to make sure it was on extra fire. Gonna get this guy real quick. Oh, you know, teamwork. And she's ready to throw her lightsaber into the pyre as well. And when she does it, Luke's Force Ghost grabs onto it and says, you know, this is not how you're supposed to treat this weapon, as the most blatant wink and nod to the audience about, hey, you remember how you were mad about that in The Last Jedi? Well, look, we undid it, except you didn't, because it still happened in The Last Jedi. No matter what you do in this movie, The Last Jedi is still going to be part of Star Wars. You would literally have to start the movie with a character waking up after the events of The Force Awakens. Or, you know, let's just be nice and say before The Force Awakens and say, wow, that was a crappy dream. I'm glad that's not canon. And he winks at the audience, and we all clap. You can do that if you're gonna be that fucking obvious. But he holds a lightsaber and is like, you shouldn't, you know, treat your weapon like this. And then Rey's like, you know, I shouldn't use this. And Luke's like, what are you scared of? And Rey's scared of herself because she's a Palpatine, and she envisioned herself and Kylo Ren in like the throne room ruling the galaxy as evil, mean people. And then Luke's like, hey, you know, blood doesn't matter, Rey. Doesn't matter who your blood family is. And this is important for later on. You should remember that, because it comes up later on. It'll be on the test. But he convinces Rey to keep up the fight. And because Rey destroyed the TIE fighter, it would have been nice for Luke to, I don't know, maybe fucking contact her before that. He raises his X-Wing out of the water, because Force Ghosts can do that. They can interact with the real world. Leads to so many fucking questions. It really does. Oh, what are you doing here? Get out of big boy.
The old chop.
That,
Get on that point, my guy.
Your real winner? They can interact with the real world. And so Rey now has his lightsaber. Luke gives her Leia's lightsaber. Leia was being trained by Luke, but she foresaw that her kid would die or something and decided to stop training,
Sniper, calling here. Take a look at this.
which we'll later figure out was all for naught. And so now she has Anakin's lightsaber, and Leia's lightsaber, and Luke's X-Wing. You know, she's amassing all the legendary loot from the Star Wars universe. And she did it all without pay-to-win loot boxes and DLCs. That was actually pretty well done. The fuck, his ass. Yep, all skizzles, mate, all skills. I'm just that good at video games. Ah, crap.
Let's get him. Let's waste him.
We're not winning this, boys. Let's just throw in the towel. Where was I? Alright, he gives her his X-Wing, but Rey's like, but I don't have the MacGuffin. But Luke reminds her there's two MacGuffins. And that's when she realizes, oh shit, in the smoldering ruins of Kylo's X-Wing is his MacGuffin. So she grabs it, and it still works despite being in a smoldering ruins of an X-Wing. And he probably would have had this also in the X-Wing that exploded, so you know, that thing's one tough MacGuffin. And she flies off and finds Exegol, and while she's headed over there, she transmits data to R2-D2, like sends him the coordinates or whatever, which the Resistance realizes, oh, it's Rey, she's showing us how to get to Exegol. We just need to follow Rey, guys, we just need to follow Rey! Just follow Rey! She knows everything, she's, you know, the best. And, yeah, she heads over to Exegol. She lands X-Wing where Kylo Ren initially went to.
Doc, come on, man. Block just got cleaned, rummy.
Love that line. Took you long enough. And so they decide to head over there as well. But they don't have very many people, so Lando says, alright, I'm going to go into Millennium Falcon and I'm going to go to all the core worlds and try to rally as much support as I can. And you all go straight into battle without any fucking consideration of anything. And we'll eventually meet you there, you know. We have friends. The First Order wants us to think we're alone, but we're not. That's like another running thing in the movie. First Order wants you to think you're alone, but you're not. You have friends that care. And so they all get into their various ships that, you know, some are ones we've seen in previous movies, so we got all that nostalgic pandering. And they head into the Red Nebula, and they arrive, and they see all these Star Destroyers that Palpatine raised up at the start of the movie. He has like thousands of them that he managed to amass before the movie started. I'm kinda trapped. I'm gonna get dominated by this guy next skill. They're like, oh no, how can we win? And it's around this time that Palpatine destroys Kissimmee, or whatever the planet is that Zori Bliss was on. Which, remember, she gave Poe her only means of getting off of it. And these Star Destroyers have Death Star technology on them. That it's this little laser cannon that fires at the planet and completely destroys it. And I gotta say, these things should have been like the first big threat. It should have been the Force Awakens rather than the Starkiller base. And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, it's something different than another fucking Death Star. You just made the Death Star bigger, but not better. Understand that now, movie. Bigger does not mean better. I was gonna try to get close to home, but oh well. Second of all, it would explain how, it would give a reasonable idea or explanation of how they manage to amass this technology despite the New Republic being in power. Oh wow. I actually expected to get killed by Instead I dominate another guy. Nice. Because it's a lot easier to just scavenge a bunch of Star Destroyers, which we've seen in The Force Awakens are just littered on planets, rotting to the elements, and then retrofitting Death Star technology on it, than it would be to carve out an entire planet and turn it into a Death Star. It would also give it a way for them to destroy the New Republic without the entirety of it being on a single planet. Like, let's say the New Republic is spread across a galaxy. Well, they have all these Star Destroyers that can each blow up a planet. So it doesn't matter how widespread the New Republic is, the First Order is still gonna be a threat. I'm gonna go Force Nature. It would also show they've learned from the mistakes of the Empire, rather than putting all their stock into a single entity, a single space station. They're instead using multiple different expendable vehicles. It just seems like something that would have made a lot more sense to use at the start than at the end. But J.J. Abrams had to, you know, reference as much as of the original trilogy as possible. So we had to have that instead. Just grand, ain't it?
Stand on the freaking point, you moron!
And their plan is they need to go to this control tower because the Star Destroyers aren't going to be able to take off from the planet for some stupid reason. And of course this doesn't affect any of the hero ships. They can, you know, enter and exit the planet's atmosphere without problem. But Star Destroyers that need this radio beacon in order to function well enough to leave the planet. And when the battle starts, the First Order actually deactivates their beacon and instead transfers control to the commanding Star Destroyer. And so Finn and Poe and the lady from the Death Star ruined planet land on the... Well, Finn doesn't land on, he's flying around, but... Well, Finn does, Poe doesn't, I'm sorry. Mistake. Finn lands on it along with a new lady, and they take B-88 with them. I remember that time. And they're going to try to disable the beacon on the surface of it. All the while, Rey is in the throne room, and the Emperor is trying to convince her to join the dark side. And the way he wants to do it is Rey needs to kill him so that all the Sith spirits will transfer into Rey. Because Palpatine has all the Sith in him, including presumably Darth Plagueis and Count Dooku, who he betrayed. I guess just have to hang out at the side of him because, well, that's how it works. And Rey initially resists, of course, and then Sidious opens up the roof to his chambers, and we see the battle above. And he uses Force Lightning to disable all the ships, which, you know, makes Rey desperate, so she's like, alright, I'll do it to save my friends, because it's the only way, Sidious says. You know, my friend isn't even... I just realized I stopped recording and started recording, but that's fine. So he's disabling the ships, Rey's ready to strike him down, but then Kylo Ren lands on the planet. He has an older model TIE fighter, so I guess you can say he probably scavenged that from the ruins of the Death Star, but still completely out of the blue and seems like a Deus Ex Machina as far as I'm concerned. Like, no, he was left stranded on that wreckage. How is he supposed to get there? Show us him finding the TIE fighter, if you have to. But he goes in, and the Knights of Ren are there to stop the helm, and they're kicking his ass, but Rey senses he's there, so she initiates a forced Skype call with him, and hands him one of the lightsabers, and he accepts it, and is ready to take down the Knights of Ren, which he does easily with a lightsaber. And then he runs over and joins Rey. Now, when entering the area, there's this, again, force elevator thing that sort of hovers and floats down. It was there for Kylo Ren to use, it was there for Rey to use, but when Kylo Ren came the second time, it wasn't there. So I guess, you know, you're not allowed to call it up or anything, just have to jump down into the pit. So he's down there, and then Sidious realizes, oh, you two have a special bond. And so he holds out his hands and begins to suck the life force out of them and starts to rejuvenate himself. He doesn't look like the spry young man he was in the prequels, but he's no longer looking like a zombie, so, you know, you can tell it worked. And this leaves both Kylo Ren and Rey really injured and sluggish. Kylo Ren tries to... Shut up. Tries to get up.
Oh, is it the fucking, like...
Oh my god. It'd be nice if there's a way to just... There. Kylo Ren, you know, tries to get up and fight, but Palpatine's like, alright, get out of here, trash, and basically knocks him down into a hole. And then Rey, seeing her friends get slaughtered, reminds herself of the training she was doing at the start of the movie, and this finally unlocks the Platinum Trophy after getting all the other Jedi achievements, called All of the Jedi, where the voices of a bunch of old Jedi like Anakin, Luke, Yoda, Ashoka, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan might be there. Just a bunch of voices are like, yeah, Rey, you go, girl. Go, Rey! You can do it, Rey! Go, Rey! Oh, we're all with you, Rey, which begs the question why they didn't do this with Luke when he was confronting the Emperor. Like, was he just not special enough? I mean, there's the obvious answer, because, well, you know, she's Rey. But seriously, wouldn't they have also tried to encourage Luke? Wouldn't Obi-Wan and Yoda been trying to, you know, egg him on, say, hey, we're with you in this, the Force is with you, we're all with you, and so on and so forth? But Rey, I mean, the whole fucking universe revolves around her. Like, how does Rey change the light bulb? She just holds it in place and waits for the room to spin around her. Or the entire fucking Star Wars galaxy. And so after getting all the encouragement, she stands up and grabs a lightsaber, and Sidious uses his Force lightning on her, but she's able to hold him off, sort of, you know, it's a standstill. They're both equally powerful, one could say. But then Rey grabs another lightsaber and holds in like an X formation, and that causes the lightning to go back into Palpatine, killing him. That's all it took! That's all it took, you know? A lightsaber and another. Just two. Two lightsabers, and you defeat the Emperor and save the galaxy. Fucking General Grievous would be unstoppable in the Star Wars universe if Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't use that blaster. It was such an anticlimactic fight, and during it all was, you know, these legendary fucking lines. Do you remember in Endgame where Thanos, you know, says, I am inevitable, and thinks he has the Infinity Gauntlet, but then turns out that Tony Stark has it, and he says, I am Iron Man, and kills Thanos and his army with a snap, killing himself in the process, but, you know, making a noble sacrifice and utilizing an iconic line he said at the end of the first Iron Man movie. I'm just saying, it was a moment that was earned. And the writers of Star Wars watched Endgame and they were like, oh wow, you know, we should do that. And so Sidious says, I am all the Sith. And Rey says, I am all the Jedi. And that's when she kills Palpatine. Because she's all the Jedi, every single one. Because, you know, she's Rey. Every last one of them, she's all the Jedi. She is a total sum of the fucking Jedi Order. And why wouldn't she be? She's a master at everything as far as the Force is concerned. Not only can she use Jedi powers, but she can also use Sith powers. But after this, Rey actually dies, which is kind of surprising if you haven't read the leaks. Rey dies, and well, you know, they really ripped off Endgame there, but I guess you can say it was a sacrifice that led to her end. There are no more Jedi or Sith left, the universe is a blank slate, and oh wait, Kylo Ren crawls out from the hole he was chucked into. And he goes over and cradles Rey's dead body, and then he uses a Force healing ability to bring her back to life. Anakin Skywalker fell to the dark side because he was so concerned about Padme's safety. He feared she would die, and that there'd be no way to stop that. Palpatine convinced him to join the dark side by claiming that Darth Plagueis figured out a way to conquer death. Did he? Is it a lie that he told in order to just influence Anakin? How much training does it take? How is it that no one else has figured out this incredible ability? Well, evidently it's super easy, barely an inconvenience, because Kylo Ren learned it off screen. And he uses it to bring Rey back. She kisses him, and then Kylo Ren dies and immediately disappears. Why Rey didn't immediately disappear, who fucking knows? Well, I know it's because they needed that scene to happen, but in-universe, you know, this whole lore thing that these people struggle to figure out, in-universe, why didn't Rey disappear? And yeah, Kylo Ren is dead. He is the last Skywalker, and he is dead. There are no hints that Luke Skywalker had sex and produced an heir anywhere. There's no more blood Skywalkers. They are all dead, and the only person remaining is a Palpatine by blood. Hell, there's no more Solos, there's presumably no more Organas or anyone. Like, the whole fucking original trilogy lineage is dead. Don't you just love these new Star Wars movies? And during this whole battle in the air, everything seems lost, and then they get a message from like Lando or whatever, and the Millennium Falcon and thousands of other ships appear, and the question is, why the hell weren't these people around during any of the other movies? Like, when the Starkiller base blew up those planets, why didn't literally every corner of the galaxy come out and ruffle stomp the First Order into oblivion? Do you think that after World War II, when the nuclear bomb is now a weapon that exists and can be used, that the United Nations would decide everyone should just disarm and hope for the best that no, new Axis or evildoers crop up? Because that's exactly what happened in Star Wars, and it's freaking stupid. And it's supposed to be like the scene in Avengers Endgame, where it seems like all is lost for the heroes, but then Doctor Strange appears and opens up a ton of portals, and there's like everyone from Wakanda, there's Spider-Man, there's like, all these heroes that weren't of the immediate Avengers team, and it's a cool moment, because like, oh wow, there's all our favorite heroes here to save the day. That's wonderful. I can spot my favorite among them. But it's not, as meaningful here. It really isn't. It's just, obvious pandering in the worst way. And like, listen, assholes, if you want to pander to us, maybe not make, all the original trilogy characters bitter failures. Like, that would pander to us, Abrams. You fucking hack. And Rian Johnson, who's hack deluxe. Have here. What fun. And so they're all celebrating after the war. They're able to get out of the atmosphere just fine, no problem, and they head back to the Resistance planet. That's where we see that lesbian kiss that was edited out of the Singapore version, because we all know Disney is a progressive company that sticks to its views and isn't just pandering to people who are too stupid to realize that a faceless corporation only wants their money and doesn't actually give a shit about their cause. And it turns out Zori Bliss was alive. Somehow she escaped that planet. Probably gonna learn about it in some DLC. And Chewbacca's there. He's happy to win. And then later on, Rey decides to leave, and she goes to Tatooine. And very briefly, there was actually a good scene in the movie, because it showed a sandcrawler and some Jawas, and one of the Jawas said, "Utini." Now, Jawas are my favorite Star Wars alien, and I was kind of upset that there wasn't any Jawas in any of the other movies. So it was nice to see some Jawas. If only this entire movie was just Jawas, it would have been at least a 6 out of 10. But nope. Just one brief scene with Jawas before, probably the worst scene if you can even believe it. Rey arrives at the moisture farms Luke grew up in, and apparently no one's been there for years. She does a little bit of exploring, and then she takes Anakin's and Leia's lightsabers and buries them in the sand, specifically using the Force because, well, you know, I guess that makes more sense than just digging it out with your hands and chucking them in. Whatever. And it's so weird that this is how she decides to basically honor these people. Anakin Skywalker, you know, the slave boy who... well, he was a fucking slave boy. It really doesn't get any worse than that now, does it? The only time he came back to the planet was to find his mother and find out that she was sold to another person, then kidnapped by Tusken Raiders, and presumably raped and beaten to death. And, you know, committed the act of killing the Tusken Raiders that really... you know, I think might have been the first point he was heading toward the dark side, truly. Luke Skywalker grew up on Tatooine and wanted to leave as soon as possible. The only time he came back was to save Han Solo, and that wasn't a very fun time for him. Nor was it a fun time for Leia, who was forced to become this sex slave for a giant, ugly, slug gangster alien. Fucking Han Solo wouldn't even want to be there. Who the fuck liked Tatooine? The only reason they have her burying it there was because the audience likes Tatooine. Because the audience remembers Tatooine. It makes zero sense for the character to be there. Even fucking Rey wouldn't want to be there. It's a desert planet. She grew up on a desert planet and wanted to leave it, only staying behind in the vain hope that her parents would return and pick her up. She was enthralled by planets with forests and water and rain. She wouldn't go back to a desert planet. And while she's there, some old lady says, "Oh, nobody's been here for a while. Who are you?" And she says, "I'm Rey." And then the old lady says, "Rey who?" Because that's how people-person conversation works. You ask somebody their name, they give you their name, and then you demand more information from them. So she looks over her shoulder and sees the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia, and then she turns back and says, "Rey Skywalker." That's right. Remember all those parts about how blood doesn't matter? It's because she decides to poach the Skywalker name. You know, like after Luke Skywalker, the guy she knew for maybe 3 days and was an asshole to her the whole fucking time. His only living descendant being a Sith user who was also an asshole to her the entire time. She decides to have that last name. So, you know, in addition to their lightsabers, in addition to the Millennium Falcon, in addition to Chewbacca, in addition to B-88, who was supposed to be Poe's, but I guess it's now hers, in addition to the Prophet being the chosen one to destroy the Sith, in addition to all of that, she also has their name. She's a Skywalker. She should just called herself Rey Star Wars. Like, she's a whole fucking sum of Star Wars at this point. What an egregiously fucking obvious Mary Sue. And there's actually a funny video posted on Twitter where these Reylos got a private screening for Rise of Skywalker, and they were fucking pissed at this scene. They were yelling and screaming, "Where's Ben? I fucking hate Star Wars." Because it didn't end with Rey and Ben fucking and having babies. So who the fuck is pleased by this movie? Fans of the original trilogy aren't. Fans of the prequels aren't. Fans of The Last Jedi don't like it. Reylos don't like it. The only way this movie managed to unite the Star Wars fandom was by making everybody angry at the same thing. And she walks off into the twin sunset with BB-88, soccer ball droid, and that's where the movie ends. It was just freaking awful. Nothing in this trilogy was planned. They didn't sit down and realize, alright, we're going to make a new trilogy. Let's figure out what the first movie is, then go to the second movie, and then we figure out what the third movie is, and after that we can start making the movie. We can start making the first one. And maybe we might have to change a few things based on fan criticism, which we would obviously listen to because they are the fans and they're the reason this franchise is even the most beloved cinema franchise of all time. But we're going to have a plan and we're going to force everyone to adhere to it. So even if some asshole decides to direct the second movie for whatever reason and wants to be subversive, we're going to say, hey, listen, buddy, you're either going to stick to the plan or you're getting the boot. But no, they came in it blind, thinking the films would print money, and they were initially right. The films did well until The Last Jedi came out and soured the fan base. And all the, a bunch of Lucasfilm employees were shitting on the people criticizing the movie, calling them sexist and man babies and racist and Russian bots and all this and that. Then Solo came out and bombed, and it looks like this movie isn't going to break $1 billion. A mainline Star Wars movie, the final movie in the Skywalker saga, isn't even going to break $1 billion. Avengers Endgame is the highest grossing movie of all time, and it's earned that by being this epic finale to this 10-year journey in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this finale to what still could be considered the greatest film franchise of all time might not even break a fucking $1 billion. Disney should just put this shit in public domain. Let people who actually give a shit make it. There's a reason why The Mandalorian is so loved by the Star Wars fan base, while these movies are so hated. And it's because these movies come off as films made by people who actively hate Star Wars, especially Last Jedi. It's made by people who don't know what the fan wants. Directed, Kathleen Kennedy by people with an agenda they desperately want to push into it. And we can see the results, and it's absolute garbage. It's just fucking amazing. This trilogy cost like $750 million, and they were pissing in the wind. I wonder what they'll do for episode 10, because we all know they're gonna fucking make that. And this whole thing's just a wasted opportunity. Like, Carrie Fisher's dead, so you can no longer have her in these Star Wars movies. And, you already butchered Luke and Han, so their actors aren't going to be eager to return. even if you decide to say, alright, 7, 8, and 9 aren't canon, we're going to, strip that out of the Star Wars canon and start new, you've lost the opportunity to use these original trilogy characters. Good job, fuckfaces. Good fucking job. I can't think of anything else to say. I'm just very gone over this entire freaking movie. And, just looking at the soldier here giving a salute from the Christmas tree. I mean, it's just, don't even have the energy it plays. I'm just going to tear. Take care. Light on. Yay. Games, this is... I'll just edit this out. Oh, careful!
He'll contest it.
Sorry.
He'll contest it.
Where?
He'll contest it.
Oh, there's a guy. Oh. Well, that works.
He'll contest it.
Oh, there's a guy.
He'll contest it. He'll contest it. He'll contest it. He'll
Video
contest it.
games.
Betrayal. Territory captured. Gain the lead. First, he'll contest
I'm just
it.
having fun, Give me that ghost. The Empire, by not putting all their eggs in a single moon-sized basket. And second of all, it would have... Well, get out of here.
Revenge. He'll contest it.
No. Let me have fun, damn it! I'll take
He'll
it.
contest
Me.
it. He'll control. Double kill.
I got a double kill. Those are pretty rare from intercepted or anything.
Double kill.
She pulls out a handy force ability from her ass. He had no idea. That's Sith planet, I think, and is ready to confront Palpatine. Get out of there. And do. Good job, bro. You did it. These like Knights of Ren people, it just appears out of nowhere. Come on.
Control. Tie the leader. Gain the lead.
Careful. Shit. Things that she longed to experience or never got to experience. If he was committed to another project, like, couldn't Disney just tell whoever he's working for that he's gonna finish his Star Wars shit? Oh. There I go! Look at him! I did an oopsie. Good work, soldier. That flag is ours.
Flag drop.
Alright, guess if you hold it, I will.
Flag captured. Gain the lead.
Just dropped it, I picked it up. He probably worked so hard to get it to that point, too. So I just accidentally fucking let it go. Alright, Butterfingers. Go!
Flag stolen. Flag dropped.
Oh.
Flag dropped. Flag recovered. Flag taken. Flag dropped.
Don't worry, boys. I've got...
Flag taken.
I'm like Rey, just stealing the thunder of Luke Skywalker.
Flag
Boom.
captured.
Super easy, barely an inconvenience.